The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked into the enormous room, her simple black suit looking plain next to the colorful robes and shining armor of the alien delegates. The chamber was built like an ancient amphitheater, with seats rising up in circles around a central speaking area. Hundreds of different alien species sat watching her with curious eyes, strange faces, and body shapes she had never seen before. Chen carried only a small leather briefcase and an old-fashioned notepad with a pen. The other delegates had floating holographic displays, crystal data tablets, and devices that projected information directly into the air. She looked like a student who had wandered into a university lecture by mistake. The Valdorian Chancellor, HFY, stood at the center podium. He was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. His voice was deep and commanding when he spoke. Today we welcome the representatives of the human species from the Sol system. They have requested membership in our great galactic empire. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens whispered to each other. Others made sounds that might have been laughter. Chen walked calmly to the speaking platform, designated for her. It was smaller than the others, and placed lower, like a spot reserved for children. Humans, Chancellor HFY continued. Your species is young. Your technology is basic. Your ships are slow. You have only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. He gestured to a holographic display that showed Earth's solar system. You control one small planet around one ordinary star. The Valdorian Empire spans 10,000 star systems across this galaxy. Chen nodded politely and made notes on her paper pad with her pen. Several aliens pointed at her writing method and seemed amused. In their advanced civilization, physical writing was something only primitive species did. However, the Chancellor said, his tone becoming generous, the Empire is not without mercy. We offer you protection under our rule. You will give up your independence, but in return, we will keep you safe from the dangers of this galaxy. We will allow you to trade with some of our member species. Your people will learn proper civilization from us. The offer was not really an offer. Chen could hear it in his voice. It was a demand, wrapped in pretty words. Either humanity joined as a servant species, or they would be forced to join later under much worse conditions. This is a generous proposal, continued HFY. Many species in this chamber would have been destroyed if we had not offered them the same protection. The galaxy is dangerous for young civilizations. There are pirates, hostile empires, and space monsters that can destroy entire worlds. Chen continued taking notes. She did not look afraid or impressed. She simply listened and wrote down important details on her paper. Tell us, human, said a delegate from the Zephyrian Federation. What military forces does your species possess? The Zephyrian looked like a large insect with crystal wings. How many ships? How many soldiers? What weapons do you have? Chen looked up from her notepad. Our military capabilities are modest. We have some ships for defense of our home system. We prefer peaceful solutions to conflicts. Chen, we con, and sighed. More murmurs filled the chamber. Several aliens made gestures that clearly meant they thought humans were weak and helpless. Chancellor HFY smiled, showing sharp teeth. Wise words. Violence should be the last choice. This is why the Empire exists, to protect peaceful species like yours from those who choose violence first. I am curious about your territory, Chen said politely. Could you show me the borders of the Valdorian Empire? And perhaps information about your fleet positions and patrol routes? My government wants to understand what protection means. The request surprised some delegates. Why would a weak species want military information? But HFY was confident. Showing off their power would make the humans even more likely to submit. Of course, he said. A huge holographic map appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a vast section of the galaxy marked in red. These are our borders. Our fleets patrol these routes. Bright lines appeared on the map. showing ship movements and patrol patterns. These are our major military bases. Hundreds of dots appeared, marking fortress worlds and shipyards. Chen studied the display carefully, making detailed notes on her paper pad. She asked for specific coordinates, fleet sizes, and defensive capabilities. The Valdorians provided all the information gladly. To them, it was like showing a child their collection of powerful toys. "Your territory is impressive," Chen said when the presentation was finished. "May I also see records of recent military actions? My government wants to understand how the Empire maintains peace." Kethvar gestured, and another display appeared. It showed battle reports, patrol logs, and incident records from the past year. Chen read through them carefully, occasionally asking for clarification about specific events or locations. After 2 hours of presentations, Chancellor Kethvar leaned forward. "Now, human, what is your answer? Will your species accept the Empire's protection?" Chen closed her notepad and stood up. "This has been very informative. However, I need time to consult with my government before making such an important decision. Could you give us 3 days to discuss these terms?" The Chancellor looked pleased. Fear and hesitation were normal responses from weak species when they realized the Empire's power. Of course, 3 days is reasonable. But remember, this offer may not remain open forever. The galaxy does not wait for those who hesitate too long. Chen bowed politely to the assembly. "Thank you for your patience and information. I will return with Earth's answer." As she walked out of the chamber, aliens whispered among themselves. Most agreed the humans would accept the protectorate offer. They had no choice. Their primitive technology and small military could never stand against the Empire's might. But a few older delegates noticed something strange. The human ambassador had asked very specific questions about military capabilities and territorial boundaries. Her questions were not random. They followed a pattern, like someone conducting a professional intelligence gathering operation. Chen left the Galactic Council station on her small human transport ship. As soon as she was in hyperspace, she activated a special communication device hidden in her briefcase. The message she sent was short: "Package delivered. Requesting priority response from command." On Earth, military leaders were already waiting for her report. They had been planning for this day much longer than the Valdorians could imagine. Admiral Rebecca Jackson sat in the underground war room beneath the Colorado Mountains. The room was filled with screens, computers, and communication equipment. Officers moved quietly between workstations, analyzing data and preparing reports. This was Earth's most secret military command center, hidden 3 kilometers below the surface. The quantum communication device on her desk beeped softly. Ambassador Chen's report had arrived from the Galactic Council station. Jackson opened the encrypted file and began reading the detailed intelligence that Chen had gathered. "My God," Jackson whispered, as she saw the Valdorian territorial maps and patrol routes. She called over her intelligence chief, Colonel Martinez. "Look at this. Cross-reference these coordinates with our deep space monitoring data from the past 6 months." Martinez pulled up another screen and began entering the Valdorian territory information. The computer started comparing the alien patrol routes with Earth's secret sensor network. Red warning symbols began appearing across the display. "Admiral," Martinez said, his voice tense, "we have a major problem. Look at Sector 7G. Coordinates 445.7 by 892.3. Jackson leaned forward to study the screen. Her face went pale as she understood what she was seeing. That's where Kepler 442b was located. 3 months ago, Earth had lost contact with outpost Kepler 442b, humanity's first successful colony outside the solar system. The outpost had been built on a planet orbiting a distant star, far from Earth but perfect for human life. 50,000 colonists lived there. Scientists, engineers, farmers, teachers, and their families. Pull up the final transmission from Kepler 442b, Jackson ordered. The speakers filled with static, then a panicked voice. Unknown ships approaching. They're massive. We're trying to signal them, but they're not responding. They're charging weapons. This is Colony Leader Morrison requesting immediate assistance. They're firing. Oh God. They're firing on the civilian sectors. The children. The schools. The transmission ended in screaming and static. That was the last anyone heard from Kepler 442b. Search and rescue ships found only empty space where the colony had been. No debris, no survivors, no trace that 50,000 humans had ever lived there. Cross-reference this with the Valdorian military logs that Ambassador Chen obtained, Jackson said quietly. Colonel Martinez pulled up the alien battle reports. He found the entry quickly. Here it is. Valdorian Patrol Fleet V7000. 749 reported destroying abandoned mining equipment in contested space. Quote, primitive automated structures posed navigation hazard. Structures eliminated with plasma bombardment. No valuable materials recovered. Ath. Lam. The room fell silent. Every officer present understood what had happened. The Valdorians had found the human colony, decided it was worthless abandoned equipment, and destroyed it without even checking if anyone was alive. 50,000 people, including 8,000 children, had been vaporized because an alien military commander could not be bothered to scan for life signs. They didn't even know they killed us, Martinez said. To them, we were just space junk to be cleared away. Admiral Jackson stood up and walked to the main strategic display. It showed Earth's true military capabilities. The ships, weapons, and technologies that humanity had kept hidden from the galaxy. Most alien species believed humans were a primitive civilization that had only recently discovered space travel. The truth was very different. How many of our people know about this? She asked. The colony families have been told their relatives are missing and presumed dead, Martinez replied. We never confirmed what happened. Only this command staff knows the truth. Jackson studied the faces around her. These were Earth's best military minds. People who had spent decades preparing for humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. They had always known first contact would be dangerous, but none of them had expected it to start with mass murder. Options, she said simply. General Kim stepped forward. We could reveal our true capabilities and demand justice. Our stealth fleet could destroy every Valdorian military base within a week. And start a galactic war, Jackson replied. How many more colonies would die in the fighting? We could accept their protectorate offer and seek justice through their legal system, suggested Colonel Martinez. What legal system? Jackson asked bitterly. They destroyed 50,000 civilians and filed it as cleaning up space junk. You think they'll prosecute themselves? Dr. Elizabeth Warren, the chief scientist and strategist, spoke up. There is a third option. We make them face what they did, publicly, in front of the entire galaxy. We use their own arrogance against them. Jackson turned to her. Explain. The Valdorians gave Ambassador Chen all that military information because they think we're harmless. They have no idea we've been watching them for decades. They don't know about our stealth technology or our intelligence network. They think they're dealing with primitive creatures who just discovered fire. Dr. Warren activated a holographic display showing humanity's secret operations across the galaxy. For 27 years, we've been observing galactic civilization. Our stealth ships have mapped every major trade route and military installation. Our agents have been living on alien worlds, studying their cultures and technologies. We know more about the Valdorian Empire than most of their own citizens do. The display showed the full scope of humanity's hidden activities. Underground cities on alien homeworlds, trading relationships with dozens of species that the Empire knew nothing about. Sensor networks that monitored everything happening in 3 sectors of the galaxy. The Valdorians committed genocide against us, Dr. Warren continued. But they did it in front of the entire galaxy without realizing it. Every species in the Council chamber today has access to those military logs. The evidence is right there in their own records. Admiral Jackson understood. You want to put them on trial for war crimes using their own evidence. Not just them, Warren said. The entire Imperial system. How many other primitive species have they destroyed without checking if they were actually alive? How many genocides are hidden in their files labeled as clearing navigation hazards? Jackson walked back to her command chair and activated the quantum communicator. Ambassador Chen's face appeared on the screen a few seconds later. Ambassador, Jackson said, I have new orders for you. The Olympus Protocol is now active. Chen's expression didn't change, but Jackson could see understanding in her eyes. The Olympus Protocol was Earth's most secret contingency plan. A complete revelation of human capabilities, designed to establish humanity as a major galactic power in one dramatic demonstration. What are my parameters, Admiral? Make them remember, Jackson said quietly. Show the galaxy who we really are, and make sure they understand what happens when someone attacks our home. Chen nodded. Understood. I'll need full intelligence access and authorization for fleet positioning. You'll have everything you need, Jackson replied. But remember, Ambassador, we're not starting a war. We're ending one that began 3 months ago, when they murdered our people. After the communication ended, Jackson stood alone in the command center. Around her, officers prepared for humanity's emergence from the shadows. In 3 days, the galaxy would learn that the primitive species from Earth was not what they appeared to be. On alien worlds across known space, human agents received coded messages. Hidden ships began moving into position around Valdorian military targets. The network that humanity had built in secret over decades was about to reveal itself. The Valdorians had no idea that their casual act of genocide had awakened something they were not prepared to face. 3 days later, Ambassador Chen returned to the Galactic Council chamber. The atmosphere was different this time. The alien delegates sat more relaxed in their seats, expecting to hear humanity's surrender. Chancellor Kethvar had a satisfied smile on his blue-gray face as he watched the human woman walk to her designated speaking area. Chen looked exactly the same as before. Simple black suit, leather briefcase, and her old paper notepad. But today, she also carried a small silver device that she placed on the podium in front of her. Ambassador Chen, Chancellor Kethvar announced to the assembly, has your government reached a decision regarding our generous offer of protection? Chen stood quietly for a moment, looking around the circular chamber at the hundreds of alien faces staring down at her. When she spoke, her voice was clear and carried easily to every corner of the vast room. Honorable members of the Galactic Council, she began. I must inform you that the Valdorian Empire has already attacked our home. The chamber exploded into noise. Delegates shouted in dozens of different languages. Some stood up from their seats. Others activated their communication devices. Chancellor Kethvar's smile disappeared, and his forearms gestured for silence. That is impossible, he declared when the noise died down. The Valdorian Empire has had no contact with human military forces. We have no record of any engagement with your species before this diplomatic meeting. Chen remained calm. She touched the silver device on her podium, and a large holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. The display showed a star map, with coordinates clearly marked. 3 months ago, Chen said, your patrol fleet, V-7000-749, encountered what you believed was abandoned mining equipment. In Sector 7G, your ships destroyed these structures with plasma bombardment. Kethvar looked confused. Yes, we clear navigation hazards routinely. Old automated equipment poses dangers to ships. What does this have to do with attacking humans? The holographic display changed, showing wreckage floating in space. Pieces of metal, fragments of buildings, and debris scattered across several thousand kilometers. But now the debris was labeled with identification codes. This debris, Chen said clearly, came from Outpost Kepler 442b. It was humanity's first colony outside our home system. 50,000 of our people lived there. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the translation devices stopped humming. Every delegate stared at the floating wreckage in the hologram. Impossible, Kethvar repeated, but his voice was weaker now. Chen touched her device again. The display changed to show Valdorian military records, the same files that Kethvar had proudly shared 3 days earlier. The report from Patrol Fleet V7749 appeared in the air, written in Valdorian military script, with translations floating beside it. Your report states, primitive automated structures posed navigation hazard. Structures eliminated with plasma bombardment. No valuable materials recovered. Chen's voice remained steady. Your sensors never checked for life signs because your commander assumed that anything primitive must be unmanned. The blood drained from Kethvar's face. Around the chamber, other delegates were checking their own military records, cross-referencing the coordinates Chen had provided. But these were clearly automated facilities. Kethvar stammered. The architecture was simple, the technology basic. No advanced species would build such structures. You are correct, Chen replied. The technology was basic by your standards. We built simple, efficient structures, suitable for a farming and research colony. We used basic materials because we were a peaceful settlement, not a military base. The holographic display changed again. This time it showed internal recordings from Kepler 442b. Families eating dinner, children playing in schoolyards, scientists working in laboratories, farmers tending crops under artificial sunlight. 8,000 children, Chen said as images of human children filled the display. 12,000 scientists and engineers, 15,000 farmers and support staff, 15,000 family members. These people had names. A new voice spoke from the assembly, Delegate Vorthak from the Hegemony of Worlds. How do we know these recordings are authentic? This could be propaganda created after the fact. Chen looked up at the insectoid delegate. Because your own ships recorded the attack. The display changed to show gun camera footage from Valdorian warships. The footage clearly showed buildings, vehicles moving on roads, and energy signatures consistent with populated facilities. The timestamp matched exactly with the patrol report. Your own weapons recorded the destruction of civilian housing blocks, Chen continued. Your sensors detected the energy signatures of families cooking dinner when you opened fire. Your computers registered communication signals, children calling for their parents when the bombing started. The chamber was so quiet that the hum of the station's life support systems seemed loud. Delegates stared at the footage of their supposed protectors casually destroying a civilian population. Chancellor Kethvar's voice shook when he spoke. This was a mistake. A tragic accident. Our patrol commander made an error in judgment. The Empire regrets this unfortunate incident. 50,000 of our people, Chen said, and for the first time emotion crept into her voice. You killed 50,000 humans and filed it as clearing space junk. The display changed again, showing personal records from the colony. Pictures of families, graduation ceremonies, birthday parties, weddings. The faces of the dead looked out at the assembled galactic representatives. Sarah Kim, age 7, wanted to be a xenobiologist and study alien animals. Marcus Chen, age 43, was developing new crops that could grow on different worlds. Dr. Elena Vasquez had just discovered a cure for Martian lung disease. Captain James Morrison was planning to propose to his girlfriend when his tour ended. Each name was accompanied by a photo and a brief description. The dead became real people instead of statistics. The human species, Chen continued, does not accept accidents when genocide is involved. Kethvar tried to regain control of the situation. The Empire is willing to provide compensation for this regrettable error. We can offer monetary reparations, perhaps relocation assistance for your remaining colonies. Compensation? Chen's voice carried a dangerous edge that made several delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. Chancellor, you have just admitted to committing genocide against my people. You destroyed an entire civilian population because you could not be bothered to check if they were alive. It was not intentional, Kethvar protested. Intent matters in galactic law. Does it? Chen asked. Tell me, Chancellor, how many other navigation hazards has your empire cleared in the past decade? How many primitive structures have you destroyed without checking for life signs? The question hung in the air like a poison cloud. Around the chamber, delegates from smaller species began accessing their own records, checking incidents where the Empire had helped them clear space debris or abandoned facilities. This is different, Kethvar insisted. We had no knowledge that humans existed in that sector. You had no knowledge because you never looked, Chen replied. Your arrogance blinded you to the possibility that a primitive species might actually be sentient. The holographic display changed one final time, showing the last transmission from Kepler 442b. The desperate voice of colony leader Morrison filled the chamber. Unknown ships approaching. Look, Lime. Unknown ships approaching. They're massive. We're trying to signal them, but they're not responding. They're charging weapons. The transmission continued as panicked voices in the background called for evacuation procedures. Children could be heard crying. Then came the sound of explosions and screaming before the signal cut to static. That, Chen said when the recording ended, was the sound of my people dying because you assumed they were not important enough to deserve a chance to surrender. The chamber remained silent for a long time. Finally, Delegate Zarathul, from the Crystalline Confederation, spoke. What does humanity demand as justice for this crime? Chen looked directly at Chancellor Kethvar. We demand formal acknowledgement of this genocide. We demand reparations for the families of the dead. We demand new protocols to prevent this from happening to other species. And if the Empire refuses? Kethvar asked quietly. Chen's smile was cold as winter space. Then the human species will be forced to seek justice through other means. The threat was polite and diplomatically phrased. But every delegate in the chamber understood its meaning. Humanity was no longer asking for permission to exist. They were demanding justice for mass murder, and they clearly had plans if that justice was denied. Chancellor Kethvar straightened his tall frame and spoke with renewed authority. The Valdorian Empire does not respond well to threats, human. You speak of justice, but what power do you have to enforce it? Your species controls one small planet. We control 10,000 star systems. Murmurs of agreement came from several Empire-aligned delegates. The display of human suffering had been moving. But practical power still mattered in galactic politics. Ambassador Chen nodded calmly and touched her silver device again. You are absolutely correct, Chancellor. Let me show you exactly what power humanity possesses. A new holographic display appeared, but this one was different. Instead of showing past events, it displayed real-time information. The map showed the current Valdorian Empire, but now it was covered with thousands of small red dots. What you are seeing, Chen explained, is the current position of human observation ships throughout Valdorian space. Each red dot represents one of our stealth vessels. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Impossible, many delegates said. No species could hide so many ships from Valdorian sensors. Their detection systems were the most advanced in the galaxy. Kethvar stared at the display in disbelief. This is false information designed to intimidate us. Our sensors would detect any foreign vessels in our territory. Chen smiled. Would they? Let me show you something specific. She pointed to a cluster of red dots around one system. These 6 ships are currently orbiting Valdoris Prime, your homeworld. They have been there for 15 years. Impossible, Kethvar shouted. Valdoris Prime has the strongest planetary defense network in the galaxy. Yes, Chen agreed. Very impressive orbital platforms and sensor arrays. However, they were designed to detect large military vessels approaching from space. They were not designed to detect small research stations built on the ocean floor. The display zoomed in on Valdoris Prime, showing the planet's surface. Several areas of ocean were highlighted with blue markers. Humanity has had underwater research facilities on your homeworld since 2387, Chen continued casually. We have been studying your culture, your technology, and your military capabilities from beneath your own seas. Your people swim above our cities and never know we exist. The color drained completely from Kethvar's face. Around the chamber, delegates were checking their own homeworld security reports. This is a violation of our sovereignty, Kethvar protested. Yes, Chen replied. Just as destroying our colony was a violation of ours. The difference is that we never killed anyone. Chen touched her device again, and the display expanded to show the entire galaxy. Red dots appeared everywhere, not just in Valdorian space, but throughout the territories of dozens of different species. For 27 years, Chen said, humanity has been quietly exploring galactic civilization. We built this observation network to learn about our future neighbors before making formal contact. Delegate Morduk from the Kavari Syndicate stood up. Are you saying you have been spying on all of us? Learning about you? Chen corrected. Just as you learn about new species before making contact. The difference is that we never assumed any of you were unintelligent based on your technology level. The display changed again, showing detailed intelligence on various species' military capabilities, trade routes, and political structures. Information that many governments thought was classified appeared in the holographic projections. For example, Chen said, looking directly at Morduk, we know about the Kavari Syndicate's secret military shipyards in the Outer Rim. We know about the Crystalline Confederation's experimental weapons testing. We know about the trade agreements that certain council members have kept hidden from the Empire. Nervous murmurs filled the chamber. Several delegates began whispering urgently to their assistants. Chancellor Kethvar tried to regain control of the situation. Even if this intelligence is accurate, observation is not the same as military power. You still cannot threaten the Empire. OP. Chen's expression became serious. Cannot? Let me be more specific about our capabilities. The display changed to show Valdorian military installations in detail. Every base, every shipyard, every defensive platform was marked and labeled. Installation VB 447, Chen said, pointing to one marker. Your primary fleet academy. Current population, 47,000 naval cadets and 12,000 instructors. Average age of students, 19 years old. She pointed to another marker. Shipyard Complex Delta 7, your largest military construction facility. Current projects include 3 Dreadnought-class battleships and 17 heavy cruisers. Estimated completion time, 14 months. Chen continued pointing to installations across Valdorian space. Mining Colony TR, 998. Agricultural World. Kepler, 7. Medical Research Station, Omega. Your retirement planet for veteran officers. With each location she named, more specific information appeared on the display. Population numbers. Defensive capabilities. Resource production. Strategic importance. We know where your military leaders live, Chen said quietly. We know where their families go to school. We know which restaurants they prefer, and what routes they take to work. The threat was becoming clear to everyone in the chamber. This was not just intelligence gathering. This was targeting information for a complete military campaign. You see, Chancellor, Chen continued, when a species spends centuries fighting wars on one small planet, they become very good at 2 things: hiding from enemies and finding hidden weaknesses in their defenses. Kethvar's voice was barely controlled. Are you threatening to attack civilian targets? I am explaining that we have the capability to end this conflict in whatever way we choose. Chen replied calmly. The question is whether we will need to use that capability. Chen touched her device once more, and the display showed something that made every delegate in the chamber fall silent. It was a real-time view of Chancellor Kethvar's own office on the Valdorian capital ship, showing his personal belongings and family pictures on his desk. This image, Chen said, is being broadcast from inside your private quarters, Chancellor. Our people have been watching you for 3 years. We know you have 2 daughters studying art at the Imperial Academy. We know your wife collects ancient pottery. We know you suffer from chronic back pain and take medication every morning. The implications hit the chamber like a physical blow. If humans could monitor the Chancellor's private life this closely, they could monitor anyone. No one was safe from this invisible network. But here is what you do not understand yet, Chen continued. This conversation is being broadcast live to every inhabited system in the galaxy. The chamber exploded into chaos. Delegates shouted questions and demands. Communication devices activated as representatives tried to contact their home governments. Every species in known space, Chen said over the noise, is now watching the Valdorian Empire explain why they committed genocide against a civilian colony. They are hearing you justify murder as a filing error. Chancellor Kethvar realized the full scope of what was happening. This was not just a diplomatic confrontation. It was a public trial being broadcast across the galaxy. Citizens of the galaxy, Chen said, now addressing not just the Council but everyone listening. The Valdorian Empire has built its power on the assumption that primitive species are not worth protecting. Today, you have seen the evidence of what happens when that assumption guides military action. She gestured to the display showing human intelligence capabilities. Humanity chose to remain hidden while we learned about galactic civilization. We could have revealed ourselves at any time. We could have demanded territory or resources. Instead, we watched and waited. We waited, Chen continued, because we believed that advanced civilizations would be guided by wisdom and justice. We believed that species capable of traveling between stars would also be capable of protecting those weaker than themselves. The chamber had gone completely quiet. Even the communication devices had stopped beeping. We were wrong, Chen said simply. The most advanced military in the galaxy killed 50,000 innocent people because their commander could not be bothered to check if they were alive. This is not justice. This is not protection. This is barbarism, hiding behind advanced technology. Chancellor Kethvar stood frozen, realizing that everything he said from this moment would be heard by billions of beings across the galaxy. The Empire's reputation, their claims of benevolent protection, their entire political foundation was crumbling in real time. So now, Chen concluded, humanity must decide whether to continue hiding while others suffer the same fate as our colony, or whether to take action to ensure this never happens again. Chancellor Kethvar's forearms trembled slightly as he realized the full weight of the situation. Across the galaxy, billions of beings were watching him try to justify the destruction of an entire human colony. His political career, and possibly the Empire itself, hung in the balance of his next words. This is manipulation, he said, his voice carrying less authority than before. You are using tragedy to gain political advantage. The Empire has protected thousands of species for centuries. Protected them from what? Chen asked. From threats like yourselves? Your own military records show 17 different incidents in the past 5 years, where you destroyed structures without checking for intelligent life. The display changed to show a list of military reports. Each one described the elimination of primitive structures or navigation hazards with the same casual language used for Kepler 442b. The Threnodai mining platform, Chen read from the list. Population, unknown. Assumed, 0. Destroyed for blocking shipping lanes. post-incident investigation revealed the platform was home to 3,000 nomadic traders. Gasps came from several delegates. The Threnodi had been declared extinct decades ago. The Vector orbital habitats, Chen continued, described as abandoned space junk, actually housed the last surviving members of their species, 1,200 individuals trying to rebuild their civilization after their homeworld was strip-mined. With each incident Chen revealed, the pattern became clearer. The Valdorian Empire had been committing casual genocide for decades, simply because they never bothered to properly investigate before attacking. Delegate Zarathul from the Crystalline Confederation stood up, her crystal body reflecting light in angry flashes. Are you saying the Empire has been systematically destroying refugee populations? I am saying, Chen replied, that the Empire's definition of primitive has been used to justify the elimination of any species they find inconvenient. Chancellor Kethvar tried to fight back. These are lies. Propaganda designed to turn the galaxy against us. The Empire brings order to chaos. Does it? Chen asked. Let me ask the galaxy a simple question. How many species have joined the Empire willingly? And how many were forced to join after their alternatives were eliminated? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Around the chamber, delegates from Empire member species looked uncomfortable. Many of them remembered their own negotiations with Valdorian diplomats. This is irrelevant, Kethvar declared. The past is the past. The Empire maintains peace and stability across thousands of systems. Without our protection, the galaxy would descend into chaos. Chen nodded. You may be right. Perhaps the galaxy does need protection. But who will protect it from you? She touched her device again. And the display showed something that made every military expert in the chamber lean forward. It was a real-time tactical display of Valdorian fleet positions throughout their territory. At this moment, Chen said, every major Valdorian military installation is under observation by human forces. Your fleet commanders are receiving reports of unknown contacts appearing on their sensors, ships that were invisible until 30 seconds ago. Across Valdorian space, human stealth vessels were dropping their cloaking systems just long enough to be detected, then vanishing again. The message was clear. We can appear anywhere, anytime. This is an act of war. Kethvar shouted. No, Chen replied calmly. This is a demonstration. An act of war would look very different. The display changed to show detailed strike plans. Every Valdorian military base had targeting information overlaid on it, showing exactly how human forces would attack if they chose to do so. Within 6 hours, Chen said, the human fleet could eliminate every Valdorian shipyard, every fleet base, and every command center in your territory. We have had strike teams in position for 3 years. Impossible, Kethvar said, but his voice lacked conviction. The intelligence Chen had already demonstrated made the claim believable. Your own security footage will confirm it, Chen said. Check the maintenance records from your facilities. Look for repair crews, cleaning staff, and technical consultants who appeared in your databases but never actually existed. You will find that humanity has been walking through your most secure installations for years. Delegate Morduk from the Kavari Syndicate spoke up nervously. Are you threatening to attack all of us? Chen turned to address the full assembly. Humanity threatens no one who has not already threatened us. We have lived peacefully alongside all of your civilizations for decades. Our only conflict is with those who commit murder and call it policy. She looked directly at Chancellor Kethvar. The Valdorian Empire has a choice to make. You can acknowledge what you have done, make amends for the lives you have taken, and change your policies to prevent future tragedies. Or you can continue to claim that mass murder is just an unfortunate accident. And if we refuse? Kethvar asked quietly. Chen's expression did not change, but her voice carried an edge of steel. Then humanity will ensure that justice is served through other means. You would start a galactic war over one destroyed colony? No, Chen replied. We would end a pattern of genocide that has been destroying innocent lives for decades. The question is whether we need to end it violently or whether the galaxy will choose justice. The chamber was completely silent. Across known space, billions of beings waited to hear what would happen next. Chancellor Kethvar looked around the chamber, seeing fear and judgment in alien eyes that had once shown him respect. His own allies were backing away, not wanting to be associated with what humanity had revealed. What do you want?" he asked finally. Chen straightened and spoke with formal authority. "The human species demands formal recognition of our sovereignty and an end to protectorate policies based on technological assessments. We demand reparations for Kepler 442b and public acknowledgement of the genocide committed there. We demand new first contact protocols that protect developing species from summary execution." She paused, then continued. "Most importantly, we demand the establishment of a galactic court to investigate other incidents like ours and ensure justice for species who cannot speak for themselves because they are already dead. The Empire will never accept external oversight," Kethvar said automatically. "Then the Empire will explain that position to our fleet commanders," Chen replied. "I am sure they will be interested in your reasoning." For the first time since the session began, Chen smiled. But it was not a friendly smile. "However," she continued, "I should mention that this conversation is being translated into over 4,000 languages and broadcast on every public communication network in the galaxy. Your citizens are hearing this discussion. So are the citizens of every Empire member species." The implications hit Kethvar like a physical blow. Not only was he being judged by other governments, but by his own people. Across the Empire, civilians were learning that their military had been committing genocide in their names. "You see, Chancellor," Chen said, "humanity learned something important during our centuries of warfare on Earth. Military power means nothing if your own people will not support your cause." As if summoned by her words, priority messages began appearing on communication devices throughout the chamber. Reports were coming in from across Valdorian space. Protests, demands for investigations, military officers refusing orders until the allegations were addressed. Chen closed her notepad and put it back in her briefcase. "The human fleet will remain in position until our terms are met. We have waited centuries to join galactic civilization. We can wait a little longer." She looked up at the assembled delegates. "But understand this. Humanity is no longer hiding. We are no longer waiting for permission to exist. We are here, we are powerful, and we will protect ourselves and others from those who see genocide as an acceptable foreign policy." Chancellor Kethvar stood in silence for a long moment. Around him, his own delegates were checking messages from their home systems. The Empire's authority was crumbling in real time as their own citizens demanded answers. The Empire will consider your terms," he said finally. "No," Chen replied firmly. "The Empire will accept our terms, or the Empire will explain to the galaxy why it believes it has the right to commit mass murder." She picked up her silver device and walked toward the chamber exit. "You have 24 hours to make your decision, Chancellor. The galaxy is watching." As Ambassador Chen left the chamber, she spoke quietly into her communication device. "Tell the folks back home, we're not hiding anymore." No. Behind her, the most powerful military force in the galaxy sat in stunned silence, realizing they had just been outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. And it had happened not through military conquest, but through the simple act of revealing the truth. In the days that followed, the Valdorian Empire would accept humanity's terms. They had no choice. Their own people demanded justice, their allies abandoned them, and the entire galaxy had seen the evidence of their crimes. But more importantly, the galaxy had seen that there was a species willing and able to enforce justice when others failed to provide it. Humanity had announced itself to the stars not as supplicants begging for acceptance, but as guardians ensuring that the strong could no longer prey on the weak without consequence. The age of casual genocide was over.